Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the FPL Affairs podcast, the podcast that strips back and lays bare our season-long love affair with FPL. In our latest transfers and predictions video, we get out Hippo's crystal balls to predict who will well and truly score this game week. Will anyone playing get a 5-star performance? We also share possible transfers in and out to help you decide who is the right fit for your team. We also take a quick peek at the Differential King's performance from last week. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for all of our content, and if you ring that bell, you should receive notifications each time we receive something new. Anyway, enough of my small talk. Let's get cracking.
And there's Mo Salah. There goes Haaland. He's on his way again. He's hungry. He scored. Ice cold precision from Palmer. Kayo Saka. That is a diamond of a goal.
Greetings everybody to our transfers and team selection video with me, Matt, aka the FPL Affairs Magpie, and as usual, joining me is the FPL Affairs Weasel, Paul. How are you?
I'm good.
Since we last spoke 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I'm good. Raring to go for week 4. Had a good rest, and hopefully the green arrows the rest of the season.
We can only dream. Hopefully,
the only way's up now.
Yeah. Oh, most definitely from where we both are. Yeah. So if you are concentrating on a free hit, we put in our special wildcard and free hit video, our own FPL Affairs Hippo's crystal balls prediction, as he is free hitting this week, and we also have yours, Paul's, at the end of this episode, who does have his or yours. Who am I talking to? Everybody, unanimous, you're collectively, free hit, and what your options are. And I'm quite intrigued because if you watched our wildcard and free hit video, one wildcard option was just Salah, one was just Haaland, and Kieran's predicted both in his free hit. So I'm intrigued as to which angle Paul's going with. But we will start with how the FPL Affairs Swan did with his differential picks last week. His predictions for game week 4 should be out tomorrow. Or actually, correction, this should be going out on Friday. And if he did what he said he was going to, it would have gone out yesterday. So that we will have to cover in Tuesday's game week review. Fabulous. So our transfers and team selection video. And the last few weeks, we've had to do 2 separate videos for these. One on transfers and the predictions and differentials and so on, and one entirely on our team selection. So hopefully, having discussed several players in the last video, we will not need to speak and persuade about too long on certain players, because otherwise we'd be repeating ourselves. Right, so our transfers, noting Gyökeres and Mateta. Right, briefly going on, Differential King didn't have a great week last week. Did you have an eye on his who he chose? Did you
No, I totally forgot who he chose. Sorry, Barry.
Well, went with the Forest over West Ham, going with the differentials of Ndoye and Hudson-Odoi. And if I remember correctly now, actually, Ndoye went off, was substituted before the hour. And obviously Hudson-Odoi blanked. He gambled with Harvey Barnes, who did start, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he did. Struggled creatively, unfortunately. Mason Mount, don't really need to say much about Mason Mount. Barry of Everton, Sart of Tottenham blanked in that surprise at home to Bournemouth, although really the way they're playing, not so much. Dango blanked at Brentford away to Sunderland, and I think the only one that returned was Thiago of Brentford, 1.2% owned. So not the best shouts, Barry. I think the only way is up for your selections this week, going into game week 4.
I think everyone got caught out. There was some some surprise results last week.
Yeah,
There was good shouts, but
out of fairness to the differential king, yeah, I think everyone was pretty much banking on Forest to win comfortably with a clean sheet. Tottenham with clean sheets in the opening two games were predicted to get that home win. Um, yeah, so there was, I think, pretty much all of those fixtures, possibly apart from the Everton one. Um, and well, Manchester United one was closer than it was expected. Um, but otherwise, they didn't necessarily go as as thought. I don't think.
it was a cruel week last week.
Mm. So swiftly moving on to game week 4 fixtures, which we'll try and cover these briefly. Starting off, lunchtime kickoff on Saturday, Arsenal at home to Forest. Quick thoughts on that? We'll try to do this quick fire.
It could be another painful week for me because it's why I'm free hitting because I had triple Forest players,
Mm.
so they could have the new manager bounce.
They
But
could,
it's
but I think with Ange's defensive frailties for Tottenham last season, I'm not holding out much hope, especially away at Arsenal for the Forest defence. So we'll see what I've got planned for mine shortly. Bournemouth against Brighton.
yeah, should be a cracking game. Both of great attacking teams. And I can see it being a high scoring draw.
I was thinking low scoring because Bournemouth have been quite tight defensively. Brighton have been a bit hit and miss. So yeah, I was thinking it would be a bit more of a low scoring one, but still eyes would be on um, Evan Nilsson, Semenyo, and the Bournemouth defenders really, and possibly even Petrovic. We shall see. Palace against Sunderland.
Obviously, normally would be a easy Palace win, but obviously Palace got very small squads and got a few injuries. Lost Eze, so I think it might be tighter than we all think it will be. It might just be like 1-0 Palace, I think.
Mm, I think I'm veering along the lines of you because Palace have had a pretty solid defensive start. Sunderland, I'm trying to not show Newcastle bias, um, but I've got a suspicion they might be one where their home record this season could be okay, um, but it will be the away form that will let them down. And Crystal Palace, I think, with no Eze and potentially no Sarr because of his injury, if it is reported to be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, um, that's him missing. So yeah, I think it'll be a Palace win, but a low scoring 1-1 or 2-0. Everton Villa.
I think that might be 0-0. Obviously, Everton are great defensively, and Villa haven't scored at all this season.
Mm, Everton have been a bit lucky data wise statistically. They have conceded quite a few chances, but I think it's the last ditch challenges and tackles from Tarkowski and the Pickford saves that have saved them. But then Aston Villa have looked dire going forward. So we'll see whether the likes of Jadon Sancho and Harvey Elliott will make a difference.
No, my luck, Watkins will probably get a hat trick after I take because he's in my normal team, but he's not in my free hits. So spoiler alert.
Mm. Fulham Leeds.
Should be a Fulham win,
I'm going with a low
but Leeds have
scorer.
started well.
I'm going with a low scorer one, possibly a 1-0 Fulham, which I hate saying because I've got emotional connections to Leeds, um, but struggling scoring wise and creating decent chances. So that'll be tricky. And Fulham are quite stout defensively. Newcastle Wolves, I'm going for a comfortable home win, break the duck of the season. I think Wissa will start over Waltemada simply because of the Premier League experience and um, also his scoring prowess on international duty. So yeah, I think Wessa will start.
Strun Ice back.
Um, Still flagged. Think possibly maybe 75% chance of playing. Um,
Yeah, probably be a Newcastle clean sheet win then, I think.
Well, the way we've been defending, um, I would think it's a good chance. Um, I think Hall got some minutes for the England under-21s. Livramento shone for England. Trippier will have had a rest. Um, so yeah, I think it will be our standard back four goalkeeper. Joe Linton might be back from injury to rejoin the midfield. Tonali should be fine. Bruno, he played two lots of 90 minutes for Brazil and a late flight back, but he's a beast. He'll start and he'll play 90 minutes unless we're comfortably leading, which I'm hoping we will be, so that we can afford taking him off and rest him for Barcelona. That's my thoughts. West Ham Spurs.
Who knows with those two teams? They're so unpredictable. You never know which one's going to turn up. Obviously, West Ham surprised everyone last week, winning 3-0 after being
Mm,
awful the first two games. And then Spurs lost after being brilliant the first two games.
mm,
So
struggle.
I can see both teams scoring,
Mm,
but Tottenham should just edge it, I think.
mm. Brentford Chelsea, which is
Um,
the late, late Saturday kickoff, 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. Saturday. Got a
uh-huh.
lot.
Yeah, it should be an easy win for Chelsea, and I think they'll keep a clean sheet too.
Mm.
So they're
Burnley,
looking really impressive and not showing any tiredness really from the Club World Cup.
mm. We'll see how long that lasts. Burnley,
True.
Liverpool.
See, it should be a massive Liverpool win,
I still
3 or
think,
4
but
nil.
I think Burnley will nick one just with Liverpool's defence. I just think Burnley will nick one. Everyone will
True,
think
they.
Liverpool clean sheet, but you know, some ridiculous mistake or an own goal for Burnley.
Uh-huh.
I reckon. That's my thoughts.
Yeah. You'll see on my free hit team, I have sort of similar thoughts. I've got
Mm.
that covered, which I'll explain later.
And then the Manchester Derby, which um, part of me will not be surprised if, after scoring five and assisting two, Erling Haaland in his international game last night was when we recorded this Wednesday. Um, so seven goal involvements, insane in one match, and also had other big chances and so on. I would not be surprised if he blanks this game. I
Yeah,
think
me
it will
too.
just
Yeah,
I think it'll be one of those typical things after the international performance. Loads of people will jump off in the next couple of days. He'll get loads of transfers in and then he'll blank.
yeah, he always goes missing in the big games, don't he? Obviously,
Mm.
Man United aren't that big now, but they are historically big.
So
Uh, it'll either be 0-0 or 2, I think.
that'll be the fixtures for the week. And before we get on to transfer ideas and my plans and weasels, we will just look at what the FPL Hippos five-star challenge. Can you beat his predictions? So for his 5 stars, he's gone with he believes the game week's best overall player will be Ekitike of Liverpool. If he keeps getting the service, he should haul, in Kieran's opinion. His best differential, so under 5% owned, he has gone with King for Fulham. He's been playing well, should have had a goal allowed against Chelsea. He's been playing well and he could get something against Leeds. Most saves, Dubravka. Difficult game against Liverpool. Liverpool should, in theory, get fair few shots on goal, so Dubravka will need to be at his saving best. For game week's highest scoring defender, now this is a good shout. Munoz of Crystal Palace. He's in form and he could be on for big points against Sunderland. Reasons why I'm thinking, and you might disagree, is I'm wondering if, because Munoz generally, although he's technically classified as a fullback, ends up playing like right wing, I'm wondering if he actually stands in for Sarr.
Yeah, it's definitely possible.
So then you've got a defender attacking fullback, playing as a number 10.
Yeah, it'd be a good shout.
Mm. I think if
But
he is, then I'd go for that. He could easily get clean sheet, points, goal, bonus. Um, and then for double digits, um, the Hippo has gone for Erling Haaland, thinking he could be getting into a role, kicking start. He's gone some little returns over the first few games, and he thinks perhaps after the international match performance that it should kick him on and get the ball rolling or the points scoring rolling. What are your thoughts on his predictions?
yeah, obviously I don't agree with number five, Haaland, as we just discussed. I think Pedro is probably the best bet for double digits this week against Brentford.
Mm,
Any of the Liverpool ones, Gakpo, Ateke, Salah, they could
mm.
all hit double digits this week.
Either way, either way, it won't be Isak. Highly unlikely.
Uh-huh.
I doubt he'll come off the bench and score twice. Um, Capable, but with no preseason and 12 minutes of football since April or May, um, and training this week. But anyway, moving on to Crystal Balls. I almost forgot who he's challenging this week after challenging Barry, the differential king, FPL Affairs Swan last week. This week, Kieran is challenging, FPL Affairs Firefly, leading the way at the top and the reigning champion from the Admin League last season. That will be an interesting matchup. We shall see. Do you know if Mick's using a chip this week? Well, actually, he's used virtually all of them already, hasn't he?
Hmm. Not that I'm aware of. I don't think he is. I've been totally switched off from FPL the last couple of weeks.
Mm. So, moving on to potential transfers out. I think really it's moving on to potential transfers in, really. I think there haven't drastically been, I think goalkeepers really, there's none that have been drastically bad um, that you'd want to spend a transfer out. It would be more so wild cards and free hits, which are
Sales
more,
maybe.
pardon?
Sales maybe.
Mm, good shout, quite possibly.
The
But then it
Arsenal's
might
not a great fixture and they've started terribly.
mm, underperformed. So that could be a potential keeper out. Potential defenders out, other than the Nottingham Forest ones, obviously.
Um, Maybe Liverpool defenders. No, so they got a good fixture this week, but they keep conceding.
And it's only really Van Dijk. It's only really Van Dijk with the DEFCON that's sort of worthwhile going to in Liverpool. Um, Frimpong people have already whittled down. I think Kirkes has been quite underwhelming. Um,
Villa defenders as well. With
mm,
Konsa's quite a popular pick.
yeah,
I
but
know.
it's tricky with the Villa. It's how patient are you
Mhm.
with them?
Yeah, they've
But
got a
then
good couple of fixtures coming up, but
Palace did just beat them 3-0. So um, it's yeah, that's the tricky one. Midfielders really taking out mine. I'd say look out on for Friday's um, press releases to see what the latest is on Ismail Assar, um, and how long he's likely to be out. And also really possibly keeping half an eye on um, Cole Palmer because he's been a bit. I haven't seen or read or heard much on whether he's back for game week 4.
yeah, it says unknown return date on the app. I've just had a
Mm.
look, but yeah, I've got him on my side, and obviously Works is in last chance saloon on my side as well.
Yeah, I think the tricky thing with the players like Vert is that you don't, with the ability they've he's got and Liverpool attack's got, you don't take them out when they've got a fixture um, like Burnley, even if it is
Mm,
away. You just don't
true.
take Liverpool players out. Um, I'd say if you were wild card him or free hit, you wouldn't include him. You'd include alternatives, possibly in relation to this fixture. But transfers wise, you wouldn't transfer him out for this game. I think.
Yeah, week 5 is, I think it's a week 5 transfer decision that if he
Mm.
blanks again this week.
Which then leaves forwards, Strand Larson. Keep an eye on the presser to see whether he's back from his Achilles injury. I think it was Achilles. Uh,
Yeah, all my
plans
strikers.
plans for work plans for Wood with this fixture, as well as the Forest change of management, which could actually be beneficial for him. Um, you then got the patience of Watkins, which really I think if anyone's planning on bringing in Haaland, um, he's the most likely to be sold if you don't have the patience um, for it. But we'll see what. Well, you're free hitting, so you'll get Watkins back for game week 5, won't you?
Yeah, then I'll get Wood back. He's got Burnley and Sunderland in week 5 and 6.
Mm,
Um, Watkins has got Sunderland week 5 and then Fulham week 6.
mm,
So and also I've got Bowen who returned last week.
yeah, yeah.
He's pretty much striker I'm most likely to sell. Who's got Palace and Everton in week 5 and 6.
Mm,
But he's one of those players who can score against anyone.
yeah.
So
I think really we'll move on to some players we'll skim over a little bit because of um, they were covered in the wildcard free hit video, or Paul may be mentioning them shortly. Um, but potential transfers in, whether you're wildcarding, notably, um, I'd probably say the goalkeepers for wildcard rather than necessarily transfer in. You wouldn't transfer in a backup, but Dubravka's going to be the backup keeper for everyone at 4 million. Um, Other than that, I'd probably say Raya of Arsenal because their fixtures are starting to turn. Um,
yeah, I've seen him in quite a few teams
so
for
that
wild
would
cards.
that would be Raya as a possibility. Um, Same with I think Sanchez. Chelsea's defence is looking quite solid, so Sanchez is still a possibility. And Bournemouth have got good fixtures. So I think really it is Petrovic, Sanchez, Raya, with Dubravka backup.
And Spurs as well, I think.
Would you consider Vicario though at 5.0?
Yeah, because they've got West Ham, Brighton, and Wolves next 3 games.
Mm,
And also Leeds after that as well. And Villa haven't started great. Then Everton.
mm. So yeah, definitely worth considering um, from a fixtures point of view with those and the form and how well uh, those defenses are looking in terms of Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs in particular. Moving on to defenders then. Do you want to go first this time with your um,
Yeah,
suggestions
obviously
on
Palace defenders. That was going to be my original plan for this week. My free transfer was going to get a Palace defender in. So I decided to free hit. They've
how would
started well. They're looking solid at the back.
how would you rank their defenders then? Um, if you were starting from
Um,
scratch.
Probably Lacroix first because obviously you got the backup of Defcom, and then Munoz because you got clean sheets and also attack and returns, and then Guy because he's obviously scored on international duty
Mm,
and he's looking quite creative as well. And then who else? We got Richards and
Yeah,
Mitchell, isn't it? The left wing back
yeah. Richard
would be
would
joint
be
full.
he'd be he'd be bottom of the list. Um, I guess Gahey and Richards is a sort of swings and roundabouts split. I think Gay's gone up in price because he got loads of transfers in when people thought he was going to Liverpool. Um, then obviously with the goal and an assist for England the other night, and his cracking goal for Palace against Villa puts him up. But then in that game, Richards got the DEFCON points. Um, so yeah, but I think definitely for intake potential transfers in a Palace defender if you don't have them, and I agree with the order you've put them in. Um, although I'd probably say Richards and Gay are more on a par rather than Gay over Richards, but definitely the top two the way round, you said. Any other defenders to bring in or to consider other than Palace?
Yeah, it's the same, just the keepers, isn't it? Really, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool.
Which would basically be Van Dijk or no one, to be fair for me.
Uh-huh. Yeah, Sensi's the Defcon monster, and as you say, they've got good fixtures coming up for Bournemouth.
Yeah, Senesi of Bournemouth or Anderson of Fulham, I think.
Yeah, their fixtures aren't that great, but obviously he's brilliant at Defcon.
So yeah, I think those are the main defenders really taking into account DEFCON and fixtures primarily. So that's Palace defenders, Tottenham defenders, Arsenal. I'd say largely Gabriel Saliba's injured and it's uncertainty over minutes over the others. Would you say?
Uh-huh. Yeah, Newcastle defenders.
Mm, yeah, worth to think for the next two, but then we've got Arsenal. Um, so that's something to weigh up.
People are free
Midfielders,
hitting in week 6, aren't they? So it's one way to navigate it.
yeah. Um, if midfield we covered on the wild card and free hit special. Um, the Everton midfielders were covered briefly in Grealish and DI. Grealish being a bit more of the expected assist and the creative side with, and DI also having penalties and more goal threat than Grealish. Um, Salah, Gakpo,
Enzo's,
Salah, Gakpo, because although Gakpo possibly more short term um, because of that fixture. Dewsbury Hall, if you're going for a 5 million mid rather than 6.5 million, so he's looking quite nailed as the number 10 for Everton. Um, Tottenham and Kudus, I think. Thoughts on Xavi Simons?
yeah, he's a brilliant player. He's on set pieces. I've had him in my UCL teams. So he's obviously going to be taking over some of Pedro's set pieces.
Hmm.
So Pedro might be worth a transfer out. Um,
Pedro Porro, you think?
yeah,
I'd
and go
probably
to another
say,
4.5 defender from Spurs.
yeah, I'd say don't necessarily transfer him out. I think if you're wild carding, bring in a cheaper Spurs defender rather than Porro, but I wouldn't use up a transfer on it, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Um, Certainly not for a
Uh,
while. Um,
yeah, Enzo and
because
Semenyo really impressed me the first few games.
yeah, I've also thought, and this has become more noticeable since the FPL Affairs Rooster, Dave Paxton, has got Lucas Paqueta, and he played him in game week 1. He blanked. He benched him in game week 2. Paqueta returned, and Dave also benched him in game week 3, and he returned. So Paqueta is certainly added to my watch list, partly because of that. Um, I am intrigued how Harvey Elliott will have an impact on um, Liverpool. not Liverpool, Aston Villa.
Yeah, he's a brilliant player. He's great. He's scored goals, create goals. No, I
Mm.
think he should have stayed at Liverpool.
I think it's minutes. I think it was down to minutes, and he was the player of the tournament for the under 21s, England under 21s, um, in the summer. So I think it's just a matter of minutes for him. Um,
Yeah, I hope it's his breakthrough season. Good luck to him.
yeah.
And yeah, he's definitely one to keep an eye on if he gets minutes.
Finally, forwards. I think self-explanatory, really. João Pedro, the form he's on, and with the forward injuries, he's looking more and more nailed and influential. Gyökeres, with Arsenal's fixtures coming up. Haaland, self-explanatory. The form he's gone on. We mentioned that earlier. We'll no doubt mention that later again after his 7 goal involvements last night. Mateta with Palace's fixtures over the next few weeks. And Evan Nilsson, again, like because we've already mentioned Bournemouth's fixtures, Evan Nilsson might turn a corner.
Uh, I've got down Wizard as well. Might be worth a
Mm.
punt.
Yeah, I'm I'm still holding off on them, um, because frustrating thing from an FPL perspective, um, Newcastle wise, um, compared to Isak and Wilson, we were quite restricted with the formation and system and so on. It was basically Isak was the main man. Wilson would come off the bench, take some minutes. Um, he had all his injury problems. Um, and the strikers coming in, which I said in our transfers D-Day special, is that out of the 4 of them, Isak, Wilson, who've both gone, and Wissa and Waltemada, who've come in, I think Isak's the best of the 4, comfortably. Um, but bear in mind that for a weaker team in Brentford, Wissa scored 19 goals from open play. Uh, Not necessarily from open play, 19 non-penalty goals. Isak got 23 or 24 goals, but like 4 of them were penalties. So I think he actually got 19 goals, non-penalties, same as Wissa. So I think combined, Wissa and Waltemada will comfortably outscore Wilson and Isak.
Yeah, it's looking great for you. That you finally got there in the end and got 2
Mm,
strikers.
yeah, but again, as I
You'll
said,
be
it's Waltemada could play deep and 10. He'll be eased in by Howe, so he's not an option for the moment. Um, and it's a matter about will he build towards playing a 2 with both of these new forwards? He have will he try to develop Waltemada as a 9 because he's more technical and more of a 10? Um, that's where he's at the moment. Um, but yeah, um, we shall see with that. And annoyingly, all of that has, although we've wrapped up the transfers, we haven't been able to squeeze in our own teams, and we won't be able to in 2 minutes. Um, so we'll, I think, need to make a third back-to-back video, which hopefully we will do shorter than 40 minutes. That will focus on our team selections. So, how can you get in touch? Where can you find us? Our email address is lowercase fplaffairs@gmail.com. On X, our user handle is at FPL Affairs. Facebook, the group link is in our description on the YouTube video channel. And alternatively, you could search the Facebook group for FPL Affairs. We should pop straight up. Our YouTube channel is / at FPL Affairs, and the Spotify links are generally found at the bottom of the video, or on Spotify you could search up FPL Affairs. There may still be time to join our leagues if you haven't already. The classic league code is 12RRCG, or the classic code is lowercase I 6NQNB. Unfortunately, the head-to-head league is now closed as the season has started. So there are suggested transfers in. We will see which ones I am considering primarily for my team in the next video, and also the free hit that FPL Affairs Weasel is playing. So thank you for joining me with this one, and I'll speak to you again in a couple of moments.
Okay, mate.
Any final thoughts on these transfers or predictions, or
No, I can think of.
Okay, well, keep your FPL affairs and thoughts under wraps, and keep an eye out for the next video to see what we're doing and if you think we're completely bonkers or not. So take care and bye-bye for now.
Bye, everyone.